That was quick and efficient. Let's have a hand for the gold band. Efficiency. All right. So, just watching this band all day, as you know, if you've been in an honor band before, we come together from 40 different schools in the morning. We sit down, find our folders, and we start working on music. And we got a few short hours, and in the evening we put on a concert. And honestly, this year was special with both the gold band and the rehearsed band. We've got a great mix of young individuals. We're going to shout out the teachers tonight a lot, but I think we need to shout out the families and everyone who supports everyone on stage here. We have a round of applause just for everyone that supported these young musicians on their journey. They worked so hard just to get to this point, and then today they worked their butts off. You're going to love it. It's my great pleasure to welcome our clinician for the 2025 Four State Gold Band, Dr. Catherine Simon Bushman. Please help me welcome her to the stage.
Today was cool until I saw the red. I woke up and was actually happy to get out of bed. My mom made my favorite, bacon and eggs. My teacher smiled at me in first period. She was proud of the answer I gave. Second period was a breeze. Me and Tay finished our work early and spit freestyles for the rest of class. But as the day went on, my joy wore off. Third period math was a major loss. I forgot my homework on the kitchen counter at home, and my teacher didn't believe me. She gave me a 0. Lunchtime rolls around, and I wanted to sit by this girl I like, but she told me she was sitting next to another guy. That's weird, because last week we hung out at lunch every day. I thought she was mine. Whatever. I head over to the usual spot. The boys are waiting, laughing, telling jokes, you know, the usual. Thing is, I'm not in the mood, but I don't have a choice. Gotta eat lunch with someone, can't be a loner. I'm about to sit down and smack! Danny, one of my best buds, slaps me with his baloney. It's the last sound I heard before the red. I picked up my lunch tray to swing it at Danny's face, but before I did it, Dr. Williams, my therapist's voice swirled around inside my head. When you start seeing red, Dominique, try to gently avoid whatever has triggered you. I sat my tray down gently on the table, and even though all of my food from the tray was spilled all over me, I calmly walked out of the cafeteria into the restroom, listened to my playlist, and cleaned myself up. It took all of my power not to take my frustrations out on Danny. I can't wait to tell Dr. Williams. Thanks to my playlist, I avoid getting suspended again. Today was cool, till I saw the red, and then it got even better.
Good evening, everyone. It's so nice to be here. I've had a really wonderful day, one of my first times traveling to this part of Kansas. And I just want to thank our wonderful hosts here and the wonderful directors who brought their students and all of you who have been supporting your students through music. That opening piece was called Big Mad, and Marie Douglas is the composer. She lives in LA right now, but she's originally from Atlanta. And she wrote that piece in collaboration, working with high school students, as you can kind of hear from the sort of fictional vignette that she shared, that Aubrey read from Coffeyville. Let's have a hand for our reader again. And there's actually 3 movements, and that's the first one. One thing I find interesting about Marie's music is she draws on things that are in her culture that have been part of her musical life. So the opening draws on spirituals, and the middle section, she likes to refer to hip hop and specifically trap bounce style music. And then, yeah, trying to take that narrative and put it into the music. So if it sounds a little unique, I think that's fair. You'll hear some of the melodies are kind of quotations of rap, and so that's why there's these, sort of repeated. It's supposed to be like spoken word, and so usually when I'm working with students and I say, oh, well, this is supposed to be rap, and they're like, oh yeah, I totally get it, and it translates really well. We've got 3 other pieces for you. This next 2 will kind of play with just a brief pause, and the composer is Victoriano Valencia. Victoriano lives in Colombia, South America, and although he writes a lot of symphonic works, works for orchestra, works for wind band, this set of pieces called Ritmos de la Tierra, Rhythm of the Earth, is a suite of dances that you can perform interchangeably. And so the 2 dances that we'll be featuring are the danzón, which is a more sort of elegant ballroom dance, and then the soca, which is performed in Colombia, in the Antilles, throughout the Caribbean, and it's more like a festival, like outdoor dance tune. So we hope you enjoy these next 2 pieces. to the students, I said, you are going to have this song, this last one we just put, you're going to have it stuck in your head for a week. So you just heard it once, you know, but we've been rehearsing all day, so I thought they did a great job. And yeah, to the directors in the room, I highly recommend the set of pieces. There's like 10 of them, and you can kind of pick and choose different grade levels. And I apologize to the families. You know, these students are going to be asking to go to South America and the Caribbean now. So, you know, for, you know, musical study. So just tell them to watch Up. You know, the balloon house went to South America. It's basically the same thing. We can learn so much from Disney movies. So this next piece is kind of our lyrical tune. And I'm really curious if I'm going to cry when the students play this today, because we did our sound check and I was just like, kind of got like hot right here. And I don't know, maybe it was menopause or something. I was just like, whoa, this is really, really beautiful. Some of you know. Yeah, some of you know. People are like, Mena, what? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But the composer, Brian Balmages, he references this idea of painting with watercolors, and that moment when the extra water kind of goes onto the page and then the paint starts to spread. So you'll hear a lot of woodwind colors. You know, the clarinets kind of hold the piece together. And I don't know if you noticed, but we have amazing low reeds in this group. They're just like there all the time. So it's clarinets and bass clarinets that start us off. And then it kind of turns into this full ensemble sound and then kind of a nice quiet ending. So we hope you enjoy this. Thank you. This last piece is called Byzantine Dances. It's by Carol Burton Chambers, and we're just going to play it real fast. So thank you again, and I'm looking forward to the next concert.
We need a little bit more applause for the 2025 little band. That was awesome. That was so good. And for their director, Dr. Catherine Simon Bushman. Thank you.